Welcome back to the Observable Unknown. For today's mailbag installment, a listener has written in, Dear Dr. Ray, I'm at a troubling time in my life because I don't know what to do. I've tried so many different things. I've tried working as a property manager. I've tried working with family. I've tried love. I've tried being a foster parent. Everything I touch fails miserably. I literally have no idea why. Literally. My half-sister adopted me years and years ago, and I'm thankful for that, but she's so weirdly conservative and so different from the way I see things that it's really hard for me to connect with her. And I'm being honest right now. I don't really feel like I have anyone else. So this one connection I feel like I should have just really never seems to work because we have totally different agendas. We have totally different ideals, and I'm wondering where I can go to find a role model, to find a way of living that matches what my compass tells me I should be doing. What would you do if you were me, Dr. Ray? Sincerely, Anna C. Dear Anna, let me begin by pointing out that one sentence in your letter stood out to me right away, not for its gravitas, but for its profound honesty. You wrote, I don't really feel like I have anyone else. Loneliness changes the shape of every single question we ask ourselves. A career question becomes an identity question. An identity question becomes a belonging question. And a belonging question becomes a meaning question. Eventually, a person begins searching for answers in places where they're actually searching for companionship. You describe a life that's contained many attempts, different jobs, relationships, directions, possibilities, and yet your feeling that remains isn't failure, it's dislocation. There's a subtle difference. Failure means something was attempted and didn't work. Dislocation means a person no longer knows where they belong. Human beings can survive extraordinary hardships if they know where they stand. Uncertainty becomes far more painful when orientation disappears. What struck me the hardest about your letter is that you don't appear confused about your values. You appear confused about where those values belong. That's an entirely different problem than the one you've convinced yourself of. You mention your half-sister. You speak with gratitude. You also speak with distance. Both of these can be true at the same time. Someone can save your life and still be unable to understand it or fit into it cleanly. Someone can, open quote, love you, close quote, and still fail to recognize you for your value. Someone can remain, open quote, family, close quote, while never becoming a companion. Many people spend years attempting to force certain relationships into forms they were never built to occupy. A parent becomes expected to be a friend. A sibling becomes expected to be a mentor. A partner becomes expected to be a therapist. A child becomes expected to provide purpose. The burden eventually becomes far too heavy because the relationship is being asked to provide something it can't naturally generate. Your half-sister and adopted mother may be exactly who she is. You may be exactly who you are. The tension may not be evidence that either of you has failed. It may simply reveal that different people are organized around different visions of life. The more interesting question concerns what comes next. You ask where to find a role model. I would suggest beginning somewhere unexpected. Stop looking for role models. Start looking for lineages. Role models are individuals. Lineages are conversations. A role model will disappoint you. A lineage remains available. If your deepest interests draw you toward philosophy, seek philosophers. If they draw you toward spirituality, seek spiritual thinkers. If they draw you toward art, seek artists. If they draw you toward service, seek people who have dedicated themselves to service. Read them, study them, disagree with them, argue with them. Follow their questions not because you need to become them, but because you need companions in thought. One of the great gifts of books is that they permit friendships across centuries, sometimes even millennia. Hipparchia of Maronaya remains available. Sylvia Plath remains available. Carol Gilligan remains available. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross remains available. Virginia Woolf remains available. Thousands of minds remain available, not as authorities, but as fellow travelers. Many people search for mentors when what they really need is intellectual ancestry, a sense that their questions didn't begin with them and won't end with them. In fact, this question sits surprisingly close to a paper I've recently published called Toward a Relational Topology of Consciousness, Extending Buber Through Neuroscience, Predictive Processing, and Participatory Sense-Making. The paper began with a very simple observation. People of post-modernity often imagine consciousness as something contained entirely within the individual, a private possession, a solitary event, a profoundly jejune attitude considering how much of the human experience suggests something radically different. Meaning emerges through relationship. Identity emerges through relationship. Language emerges through relationship. Even self-understanding emerges through relationship. Many of the questions we consider most personal are actually inherited. We inherit concepts, stories, symbols, values, and all of the ways that we choose to interpret reality. Then spend most of our all too short lives deciding which of those inheritances deserve continuation. My paper explores the possibility that consciousness itself may be less like an isolated object and more like a living network of relationships extending across time, not merely between people, but between generations, traditions, and minds, between the past and the future. One of the implications is deeply relevant to your letter. Human beings don't become fully themselves in isolation. They become themselves through participation alone, through dialogue, responsibility, and through encounters. This means the search for meaning is rarely a search for answers alone. It's often a search for the relationships capable of carrying those answers forward. There's another observation I would offer. You say that everything you touch seems to fail. Careers, relationships, attempts at building or repairing a life. Perhaps, but another possibility exists. What if these experiences weren't failures? What if they were eliminations? A scientist doesn't always learn through confirmation. Sometimes the experiment teaches through exclusion. Not this, not that, not here, nor now, not in this form or another. The result still contains information. Human beings often underestimate how much wisdom arrives through subtraction. The life you're not meant to live must become visible before the life you're meant to live can emerge clearly. This doesn't mean every setback contains hidden destiny. That would be unfortunate to believe. It means patterns deserve examination before they deserve condemnation. In my own work on decision architecture, fate, and human navigation, one observation appears repeatedly. People often believe they're searching for certainty. Very often, they're searching for permission. Permission to become the person they already suspect themselves to be. Permission to stop performing identities that no longer fit. Permission to stop chasing lives that belong to someone else. Permission to trust their own orientation. You ask what I would do if I were you. I would stop asking, who should I become? And I'd start asking, what questions refuse to leave me alone? Because recurring questions reveal structure. Recurring questions reveal temperament. Recurring questions reveal vocation, and a person's deepest interests are rarely random. They often point toward a life waiting to be built with the assistance of genetics, culture, and education. The goal isn't finding someone to imitate. The goal is finding something worthy of serving, an idea or discipline, a craft or a community, a responsibility, a calling. People remain surprisingly resilient when attached to something larger than themselves. And perhaps that's where your search truly begins. Not with a role model, not with certainty, not even with answers, but with allegiance. The quiet decision to give your attention to something worthy of receiving it. The compass you seek may not be hidden. It may already be visible in the questions you continue asking despite every disappointment. Pay attention to those. They know more about your future than you could ever realize. If this mailbag installment found you standing at a crossroads of your own, make that known. Leave a rating or a review, not for recognition, but for signal. So direction reaches places where loneliness has mistaken itself for isolation. Until next time, remember, you don't become what you feel, you become what you return to. And what you return to returns as you.